Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ange Endeavor. Today's venture takes us 2 weeks ago to this day, this Wednesday, on August 12th, 2026. That was the day I had the opportunity to meet May Pang. And if anybody out there is a huge Beatles fan or a John Lennon fan, such as myself, you would know who May Pang is. And for anyone else who really doesn't know who she is, I'll share who she was. On the surface, most of us have just known or heard about May Pang, loosely through the years, that she was John Lennon's lover or girlfriend for about an 18-month period when he separated from Yoko Ono. And they called, or John Lennon deemed that as the lost weekend, his time away from Yoko. However, in more recent times, I discovered, and many have discovered, that there was more to the story than we all thought we knew. May Pang, really, after John Lennon died, December 8th, 1980, May Pang did put out a book called Loving John. It came out August 1st, 1983. But, a lot of people, because, we didn't have the internet or anything like that, a lot of people didn't know about that book. And then fast forward to May 4th, 2008, May Pang puts out a book called Instamatic Karma, which was a collection of candid photographs that she took of John Lennon when they were together. And it was during this time I had heard about the book and I saw the book. I saw some images from the book online and I was like, oh my God, what she did in the photographs themselves was she made John seem more human. It was like almost like a different person. And so I was really, really impressed with that. And then, not too long after the Instamatic Karma came out, the book, May Pang premiered her documentary at the Tribeca Film Festival, which was June 10th, 2022, and it was called The Lost Weekend, A Love Story. Well, Tribeca is in New York, and unless you lived there, you couldn't go. But what May Pang did, was she made sure to offer it streaming. So if you wanted to view it online, you just had to pay like $20 or something, and you could watch it. So that's what I did, and I was so excited. I watched it on the premiere date. And I can tell you, I was really blown away. It was such a good documentary. May narrates it. It's so well done. And once again, it kind of like it brought John Lennon down from icon to human, like the rest of us. And in my opinion, it's one of the best rock documentaries out there. So after that, May Pang decided to take her candid photographs of John Lennon, and then there's some of her and John Lennon on the road, and started touring them around all over the country. And I was always wondering, is she going to come out to the Pacific Northwest? Will she come out to Seattle? What's going to go on? And she wasn't, and she hadn't, and then lo and behold, a few months ago, I saw on her maypangphotography.com website that she was coming to Olympia, Washington. When I found out that May Pang was going to have her show in the Pacific Northwest, I was like, I'm going. So 2 weeks ago, I headed to the Capitol Mall in Olympia, and where the Artist Gallery, which is inside of the mall, holds exhibits for artists all over the world, or, local artists. and that's where I went. And I'll show you a little bit of film footage. I didn't get to shoot inside because, she requested no photography and no filming, but I was able to get a photograph with her and view the exhibit. Now, I will show you a short clip of when I was headed down there and when I got there, and then I'll share a little bit more after. But before I do that, I do want to share a little bit more about May Pang and her history. And I got this off of her maypangphotography.com. It's her bio, and I'll read it verbatim because I think it explains better of who she is and her history better than I can. Okay, here we go. May Pang, a multifaceted legacy in music and photography. During this period, Lennon experienced one of the most artistically and commercially productive phases of his post-Beatles career. With Pang's encouragement and support, he produced the albums Mind Games, Walls and Bridges, and Rock and Roll, achieving his first solo #1 hit, Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Pang's influence extended to creative collaborations with legends like Elton John, David Bowie, Harry Nilsson, Mick Jagger, and Ringo Starr. Notably, Pang's whispered voice is heard on #9 Dream, and Lennon wrote Surprise, Surprise, Sweet Bird of Paradox about her. Beyond music, May Pang played a crucial role in rekindling Lennon's connections with family and friends. She facilitated a long overdue reunion between Lennon and his son Julian, as well as fellow bandmates George Harrison and Paul McCartney, which included a historic jam session with McCartney, Stevie Wonder, and others. Her photograph of Julian Lennon is featured on the cover of his album Jude, and her image of John Lennon in the Catskills appeared on the sleeve of the Imagine single in England and Japan, cementing her artistic legacy. Pang's work extended beyond Lennon. Her early career began at ABKCO Industries, where she worked with Alan Klein's firm, managing the Beatles, Apple Corps, and Rolling Stones. By 1970, Lennon and Yoko Ono hired her as their personal assistant, later promoting her to production coordinator. Pang earned a gold record for her contributions to Walls and Bridges and continued to impact the industry by managing releases for artists like Bob Marley, Robert Palmer during her time at Island Records. In 1983, May Pang published Loving John, a candid memoir detailing her relationship with Lennon and her behind-the-scenes role in his life and work. In 2008, she released Instamatic Karma, a collection of intimate photographs of Lennon during the Lost Weekend. These photos, which include iconic moments like Lennon signing the contract to dissolve the Beatles, have been exhibited across the U.S. in the Lost Weekend, the photography of May Pang. So that's like the gist of her bio. There was more to it and stuff, but I, thought I would just read that part for now. Anyway, so let's carry this on to when I went down to visit, and I'll show the clip now. I'm ready now to go down to Olympia and take you all and myself to go see the May Pang John Lennon exhibit. Let's get rolling. So here I am outside the Artist's Gallery, and I'm getting ready to go in and have a look at May Pang's exhibit. I am so excited. Now, I don't think I'm allowed to film inside, but if I can get any photographs with her or anything, I'll do so. I'll do my best. I went into the art gallery and I didn't see May Pang there. And so I went to the front desk and I talked with the lady there and she said, oh, she's out to lunch. She'll be back any moment. So I said, okay, well, I'll just have a look around. And, you know, the gallery wasn't very big. I mean, it's inside of a mall, a shopping mall. So, and I thought, wow, that's kind of cool that May Pang would come to a shopping mall, you know. You know, just it's once again kind of going with that theme of just being a regular person. Anyways, I started to look around at the photographs, and a lot of these are online and you can view them online. A lot of them were in her book. I never got the book, but I did see the photographs, and in person, I will tell you, I was really blown away. Once again, I remember it feeling so odd because, as I mentioned before, there was a way that she captured John that made him into a person versus an icon. And I'm looking at these photographs and it's like it was just very, very different than looking online, watching a video or a documentary. It was like getting to know him and meet him for the first time. And it's like, yeah, she took these photographs and this is through her eyes, you know. And it was really quite an amazing collection. So at some point I see her walk in and I'm instantly a little bit nervous. And I wasn't nervous before, but I'm like, oh my God, you know, there she is. Wow. I mean, it's like, and I had the wow factor, and at the same time, I had the, wow, she's just a person, you know, she's a person, you know. So she sat down at her little table. She had a table there, and she, you know, some people came over to talk to her. Now, this is the second day, like, so it was a 2-day showing, and I was like hoping to be there on the 11th, but I just couldn't get out of work. So I showed up there on the 12th, and I'm glad I did because there weren't that many people there on the 12th, and I guess on the 11th it was packed. So I go in, I mean, so I'm standing there and watching people, you know, talk to her, and I'm like, do I even go up to her? What do I say, you know? And I'm looking around at, you know, the photographs, and I thought, oh, I wish I could purchase one of the photographs, but, you know, unless you have like $950, you know, to $1,200, you know, most people don't have that. And I thought, oh, I wish there was something, you know, budget friendly to buy. And but I just thought, well, just, you know, maybe if you say hi to her, you know, great, you know, that'll be great alone, you know. So I'm there and she's talking to this guy, and he's I could tell he's like a rocker guy, and he had long curly black hair and he was wearing a hat. And he had been talking to her for a while, and I'm like, when do I go up? When do I not go up? You know? And then I saw her look towards me, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm just going to kind of walk over. And then she stopped talking with him, and she was giving me her attention. And so I walk over. So I reached my hand out to shake her hand, and I said, hi, May, I'm Angela. And she was really, really sweet. She shook my hand, and then we started talking a little bit, and I noticed that I was fluctuating between feeling nervous and then, you know, being calm, you know, because it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe this, you know, and yet she's so human. She's such a regular person. And and I noticed that she had these small posters for sale for $50. And I was like, oh, I said, that's budget friendly. And she said, yeah, do you want one? And I said, oh, I would love to have one. And she goes, yeah, I'll sign it for you. And so this is what I got from her. And I don't know if you can see that. And I'll show a better picture of it, but there it is. And that is from her documentary, A Lost Weekend, and she signed it. And look, she has really great penmanship, I think, you know. But it says, Angela, love and peace, May Pang, Olympia, Washington, 8/12/26. Isn't that cool? So there we go. You can see the handwriting there better. And she even put it in this plastic sleeve for me, because I kept thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to roll it up. And no, I mean, she really, and she does that when people buy her photographs. She'll put it in a protective sleeve and she signs it. But if, you know, when you're having it signed for you and they write your name down, it just feels so personal, you know, so touching. And I was there for probably a half hour, talking, and then that tall rocker guy that was talking there, he was there too. And then he told me his name was Johnny Jones, and I said, oh, okay. And he, I guess, is in a band called Apple Jam, and they are kind of a Beatle-esque type band. And I guess after talking to him for a while, he has this Beatles house, and he's got a huge Beatles collection, like, you know, replicas of the guitars and you name it, he has it. And so he says, hey, you want to come over and look at my Beatles collection? I was like, you know, I said, I'm sorry, but I've got to go back to work. So, but he was a nice, interesting character. And as we were talking, you know, it suddenly hit me. It's like, I said, hey, do you know Ernie Bailey? You know, that's Nirvana's guitar tech guy, and I'm still friends with him. And he's like, oh my God, yeah, I know Ernie. So there was like some kind of crazy connection there. And it appears that he's met May Pang before, and she's come out to Seattle before, and his band played for her. And so he's had other photographs with her. So I kind of made a new acquaintance there, and so it was really just a lovely time. May Pang was so very sweet. And then in terms of the photo that I got with her, you know, I wasn't going to even ask for that, because she was very, very strict about no photography, don't take pictures of her photographs. And I totally respected that, because you have to be respectful, you know. And then there was another fella there saying, oh, can I get a picture with you? And she said, sure. I said, may you do those? And she said, yeah. She goes, if you want a picture with me, I can do that. And I was like, oh my God. So she had her assistant come over and take the shot of us. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, this is like turned out to be like the most amazing, you know, time to spend with this person. And then she asked me what I did for a living. So I told her, and it was just like, you know, we were just talking, you know. I still am dumbfounded by it, you know. It's really, really exciting. But anyways, I came home, and I rewatched the documentary, because I hadn't seen it, you know, for a couple of years. But it's still just as good as I remember the first time. Oh, and then I went and looked online, because if any of you out there want to watch her Lost Weekend, A Love Story, you can get it on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, YouTube. Google Play Movies and TV, and Fandango at Home. And I think you can buy the DVD if they have a DVD. I thought somebody came in to the gallery and he had a DVD. I thought I would show you the movie clip to May Pang's documentary, The Lost Weekend, A Love Story, since we were on the subject. And I found it on YouTube. There's several of them, but this one is through Briarcliff Entertainment, which is the Briarcliff Entertainment YouTube channel. Anyways, I apologize about these screen lines. I tried to fix it so they weren't as pronounced, but I couldn't get rid of them. But in any case, this will give you a taste of the documentary if you want to go and check it out or stream it on one of those platforms that I shared with you. You can do that. Anyways, without further ado, here we go.
My name is May Pang, and this is my story.
She was a very good assistant.
Typical things what you do on a daily basis.
Taking care of everything, working in the studio, doing clothes, doing the publicity.
Yoko walked into my office and said, "John and I are not getting along. I want you to go out with him."
Why are you kidding? I can't do that.
He's my employer, he's my boss, he's your husband.
I was 23, and my first boyfriend was John Lennon.
Lost Weekend that everybody keeps talking about, it wasn't so lost. People from Warp John, and they had him in previous years.
Jammed with Mick Jagger, with Ringo, Harry Nilsson, Elton John, David Bowie. That's a few things.
Right? She did not realize it was going to turn into such a big love affair. She thought it would be 2 weeks, gone, goodbye. She told me, "Just don't think you're taking John back." And I said, "What?" She said, "I think it's time."
So that was my story about meeting May Pang, and she does have. If you're interested, go to her maypangphotography.com, and it shows more about her and also lists like where she's going to be next to show her exhibit. It was just really, really phenomenal that she gave her time and how kind and sweet she was. And, so it's, just one of those kind of cool stories, and a part of Beatle history. And, I still can't believe it at the same time that I got to meet her. And the cool thing is, even though I'm a John Lennon fan and I love all of that, I think that the people that surround those people are pretty cool and interesting, incredible people too, and they're not usually there for fanfare or anything like that. They're just, they're just everyday folk like everybody else. So anyways, I want to close out with, my love of the Beatles and John Lennon. A little bit about that backstory. When I was about 12 years old, one of my dear friends in grade school, junior high school, we went to school together when we were kids, and she got me into the Beatles. And so much so that like a group of us would go around pretending that, we had fake English accents. We were trying to talk like the Beatles. And anyways, and I remember the first time my friend had the Just Like Starting Over 45 record from John Lennon, and she played it for me, and I thought it was really, really cool. And then shortly after that, I remember one evening, I came home and the TV was on. And back then we just had the dial-up TV. We know where you turn the dial, change the channel. But I remember on the news, they said that John Lennon had been killed, that he died. And even though I was just new to the Beatles and new to John Lennon, I was 12 or just turned 13. I remember I just turned 13. But I remember my heart sank. And I didn't know why or understand it at the time, but that impacted me and it stayed with me. And it took me into the world of the Beatles, John Lennon, and it changed my life. I mean, for the better, of course. I learned so much from them. You know, all you need is love. All of the positive things that they were about. And for a young person, they influenced me. They influenced me and they made me a better person. Just like anybody out there who has a band or a singer-songwriter that impacts them, you know, it's important, especially for young people, because your minds are fresh and open, and if something positive comes your way, like a song or a band, it really can do you a lot of good. It really can. Anyways, so that's my story of meeting May Pang. And, you know, I'm just glad to share that here with everybody. Thank you so much again for watching. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your days. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. See you later.